I didn't take the job at Beacon Rock because I have a romanticized view of the ocean. I don't care about the poetry of the tides or the solitude of the keeper's life. I took it because the pay was triple the standard union rate and my debts were loud enough to drown out the sound of the Atlantic. 6 months. That was the contract. 6 months of babysitting a rotating Fresnel lens on a jagged tooth of rock 15 miles off the coast of Maine. The guy I replaced, a withered old-timer named Elias, didn't say much when the boat dropped me off. He looked hollow, like something had scooped the inside of him out and left just the skin. He didn't offer a handshake. He just shoved a grease-stained notebook into my chest, grabbed his duffel bag, and practically leaped onto the transport boat. I watched the boat disappear into the fog, feeling the heavy, wet silence of the lighthouse settle around me. The place smelled of diesel, salt brine, and something faintly copper, like old pennies. I unpacked my stuff in the galley kitchen. Canned beans, instant coffee, a few paperbacks. It was mundane. It was boring. Exactly what I wanted. Then, I opened the notebook Elias had shoved at me. The first few pages were standard log entries, weather reports, maintenance notes on the generator, but the last page was different. The handwriting was frantic, the ink pressed so hard it tore through the paper. It was a list. RULS for the night shift, it read. Rule 1. Keep the hatch to the lantern room locked from sunset to sunrise, no exceptions. Rule 2. If the fog rolls in, turn the foghorn on manually. If the horn stops sounding on its own, do not go outside to fix it until daylight. Rule 3. Ignore the scratching on the gallery glass. Seagulls are heavier than they look. Rule 4. If the radio turns on by itself, do not speak. Rule 5. If you hear a voice that sounds exactly like you, extinguish the light and hide in the cellar. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. I figured Elias was hazing the new guy. A classic spook the rookie gag. I tossed the notebook on the table, brewed a pot of sludge-thick coffee, and settled in for my first shift. The first week was painfully normal. I cleaned the brass, I checked the rotation gears, I stared at the endless black horizon. The isolation was heavy, sure, but peaceful. I started to think the hollow look on Elias's face was just cabin fever. Then came the storm on the ninth night. It wasn't a hurricane, just a thick, suffocating nor'easter that buried the lighthouse in gray soup. I was up in the lantern room watching the beam cut through the mist. The rhythm was hypnotic. Flash, darkness, flash, darkness, flash, darkness. Then I heard it. Scritch, scritch, slide. It came from the other side of the glass. I froze. I was 80 feet up. The lighthouse is a sheer drop into freezing water. There is no balcony access from the outside without a ladder, and there was no ladder. Scritch, scritch. It sounded wet, like raw meat dragging across a window pane. I remembered Rule 3, ignore the scratching. It's just a bird, I whispered to myself. Just a big, dumb gull crashing into the glass. But deep down, I knew birds didn't drag themselves. I backed away from the glass and went down to the service room, locking the hatch behind me. Rule 1. My heart was hammering a little, but I poured more coffee and tried to read. That's when the radio crackled. It was an old VHF unit sitting in the corner. I hadn't touched it all night. The static hissed, rising and falling like breathing. Station report. A voice cut through the white noise. My blood ran cold. The voice wasn't the Coast Guard. It wasn't a ship captain. It was me. It was my voice. The same pitch, the same cadence, even the slight nasal twang I have because of my deviated septum. It was a perfect audio reflection. Station report. My voice repeated from the speaker. The door is locked. Why is the door locked? I stared at the radio, my hand trembling as I reached for the power cord. Rule 4. If the radio turns on by itself, do not speak. I can hear you breathing in there, the voice on the radio said. It sounded amused. I'm cold. It's wet out here. Open the hatch. I ripped the cord out of the wall. The silence that followed was deafening. I sat in the corner of the room, clutching a heavy wrench, watching the hatch door. I didn't sleep that night. The next 3 days were a blur of paranoia. I slept in 20-minute bursts during the day. I kept the lights on. Every time the wind rattled the window frames, I jumped. But the real horror started last night. The fog had cleared, but the moon was hidden. It was pitch black. I was in the galley trying to force down some toast when I heard footsteps. Not outside. Inside. Heavy, wet footsteps coming up the spiral stairs from the cellar. I checked the heavy iron door at the base of the tower. It was bolted. I had bolted it myself, but the footsteps were distinct. Clang. Squish. Clang. Squish. Clang. Squish. I retreated up the tower, locking every door behind me. I scrambled up to the lantern room, the highest point. I was trapped. I looked out the glass, desperate to see a ship, a plane, anything, and there he was. Standing on the narrow catwalk outside the glass, 80 feet above the sea, was a man. He was wearing my yellow rain slicker. He was wearing my boots. He turned his head slowly, and the beam of the lighthouse caught his face. It was me. It wasn't just a resemblance. It was my face. But the eyes were wrong. They were wide, unblinking, and dead flat like a shark's. And the mouth was smiling too wide. It stretched past where the jawbone should have stopped. He raised a hand and tapped on the glass. Scritch, scritch. He mouthed the words, and I could hear them in my head echoing perfectly in my own internal monologue. Rule 5. If you hear a voice that sounds exactly like you, extinguish the light and hide in the cellar. I looked at the notebook, trembling in my hands. Rule 5 said to hide in the cellar, but the footsteps I heard earlier, they came from the cellar. That's when I realized the truth. The rules. Elias didn't write them to save me. He wrote them to herd me. The thing outside isn't trying to break in. It's toying with me. It's following the script. It wanted me to run to the cellar. That's its larder. That's where it feeds. If I had followed Rule 5, I'd be dead. The thing wearing my face is still out there on the catwalk. It's not scratching anymore. It's just watching me. But the worst part? The radio is unplugged, sitting on the floor in pieces. But 5 minutes ago, it started making noise again. It's broadcasting a distress signal. It's broadcasting my voice, screaming for help, giving my coordinates. It's calling the relief boat early. I'm looking out at the horizon now. I can see the lights of a cutter approaching. They think they're coming to save a keeper in distress. They don't know they're delivering dinner. I'm going to try to jam the rotation gears. Maybe if I break the light, they'll turn back. But my hands are shaking so bad I can barely hold the wrench. If you find this logbook, don't follow the rules. Just jump. It's faster than whatever is waiting in the cellar. The door handle to the lantern room is turning. It's unlocked. God help me.